Okay, no sound yet. Uh, all right, all right. You can hear me? Confirm, may confirm that everybody hears me loud and clear.
All right.
Fantastic, fantastic. I see your chat. Everybody hears me good. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to this session again, and I'm excited to have everybody around. It's so good to have you all here join us today on this session. All right. If you're watching a replay of this session later on, just drop a comment for us. If you have questions and all of that, inquiries, just drop a comment for us. We'll be here to give answers and address all your inquiries as the case may be. All right. And if you if you did not join our very first session, because we had a session last year where we started into Microsoft Dataverse, and then we looked into customizations. We looked into the entire scope around Dataverse and all of that. If you did not join the session, if you check the you know uh, pinned details, the description, you will see link to the video. All right, you will see link to the video in the pin session. You can easily go there to watch that session. If you also want to look at some Dataverse use cases, you would also see the pinned video. All right, also I've pinned in the description also links and resources to also guide on some things that we'll be talking about and we'll be looking into today. All right. The idea is to just make sure that everybody has a very good learning experience. And as you join in, just subscribe to the channel so that you can get updates around sessions and uploads of trainings like this that might come up later in the future. Okay, thank you once again, everybody, for joining. And today we are looking into customizations in Dataverse, customizations in Microsoft Dataverse. And like I said, it is a practical session. But before we delve into the practical session, we'll just look at a few things. Understand a very few things about what Dataverse is, all right? Especially for those who are coming new into the system, or for those who are probably just reading about it for now, or you could be experienced also, right? You might also need to have ideas about a few things and how the modus operandi are, all right? Whichever case you are, would the training would be very beneficial to you. All right. I'm your friend, your brother. My name is Ayo. Just call me Ayo. I'm a principal consultant with Stringify. Okay, yeah, with Stringify. All right. Uh, and my focus is basically business applications, enterprise applications, and to develop enterprise applications or business oriented applications. Microsoft has given opportunities to leverage on local technology tools like the Microsoft Dynamics 365, the Microsoft Power Platform, and a few pro code systems also, like DevOps and a few development systems. And I play in all of those spaces as a person. uh, and one of the things I also love to do is what I'm doing right now is giving back to the community via trainings like this. All right. Trainings like this. It's not paid for. It's just to give back to the community and help a lot of people transition rightly and grow effectively in their technology journey. All right. So that's what I do. If you want to contact me, you have anything you want to ask questions, you can always reach me through the email or through my LinkedIn channel, and I'll be glad to assist and answer whatever question or information you might have. All right. uh moving forward, let's delve right into it so that we can achieve a lot. Microsoft Dataverse. In the first episode, right, I mentioned, and we explained the whole concept around Dataverse, you know being being a data service, right? We explained Dataverse being a data service, and we explained that because we said, uh, when you look at the concept of database generally, a lot of people put their mind on relational database. What do we mean by a relational database? We are talking about being able to store information somewhere, right? Being able to have some sort of tabular form where you can store your information, right? In columns and then in rows. I'm sure some of us are familiar with Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet, and then you store information in those sheets, right? In those spreadsheet, solutions, software solutions, right? Now, we now said that Dataverse is more than that. So Dataverse is beyond just storing information into a set of, boxed rows or column. Dataverse, have other features, which was what we dealt with in the first session we had. Like I said, you can always go and watch the first session. The link is in the description below. All right. Now, uh moving forward from Dataverse being a complete data service is, apart from creating tables, creating rows, you can now perform some things on Dataverse. So, for example, for people who are front end developers or UI engineers, you understand that, and everybody generally, right? Your applications and all you have on your phones, on your mobile apps, on your laptops and all of that. Every application have a user interface. You are currently probably streaming right now from YouTube and all of that. You have a user interface, right, where you're seeing what is going on live, right? Now, those are design oriented, features, right? Which means every application, apart from the data side that helps you capture and store data, there is also a user side where you need to see what the system is meant to do. You need to engage with the system. And that exactly is what the UI means. So in Microsoft Dataverse, it's so interesting that Microsoft now said that, you know what, when you are done creating your tables, your columns, and all of the things that forms a database system, you can go ahead and have even better data experiences. How? By creating what we call forms, views, chart, dashboard that serve as a user interface. Are you seeing that? That serves as as a user interface for end users. Can you see, for end users or the people that would use your solution? So you see that rather than probably going to the application and start designing the UI, you can actually do a design of your UI, which is just creating a form. What is a form? A form is just an interface that helps you to receive data. So rather than going to the front end to, well, take your time to start building some aesthetical things, right? You could, from Dataverse, create those forms and use those forms to what, receive data into your database. One, two is, when you have data in your database, right? You definitely want to be able to see the data on the front end. Oh, probably you want to know whether a data is active, a data is inactive. Maybe you have some other criteria to which you want to use to see your data. You can also set that up on the Dataverse, which is what we call views. So, like, how do I see things? For example, you can say you want to see Dataverse courses. You want to see Power Apps courses. You want to see Azure courses. Can you see that? You can have segmentations. That is what views does for you. And then you can have chart and dashboard. So chart and dashboard is just being able to what, also measure data and have reporting system, quick reporting system on inside Dataverse. When it comes to robust reporting system, definitely you go through other systems like the Power BI to get a better reporting. But in Dataverse, you can get quick reporting on your existing data. These are interesting things that Dataverse offers. And then we have the business rules, right? So what do we do with business rules? Now, for front-end engineers, you would understand we do things like validations, right? On your forms, on your tables, and all of that. Now, in that scenario of doing those validations, Microsoft creates a feature called the business rule that helps you to tackle logics and validation. So, for example, you have a quick form. You want to say, if this contains data, if a field contains data, then show this field. If this field does not contain data, then hide this field, or show this error if this information is incorrect. You could have things like that. So if you have scenarios like that, that is what business rules are there for. So you create business rule to be able to tackle and do logics and validation. Now, these logics and validations can be done with JavaScript, right? JavaScript can do those kind of things. However, there are out of the box, quick logics, quick validations that you can do with Dataverse that you do not have to go the route of JavaScript. You do not have to know how to code JavaScript, right? To do that. So, which means quickly you can use the business rule to achieve those quick validations and those quick logics. All right. Now, on the flip side, are there things that business rule might not achieve? Yes. If there are logics and validation that are beyond the out of the box or the proposed or the given scope of the Microsoft Dataverse, then you can extend. If you have, the JavaScript experience, or you have somebody who does that, to write that logic for you, and you can extend that logic. The beautiful thing is, if you go on this channel, there's a video that talks about client scripting in Power Apps. Check that video. I didn't pin it to this description, but I have that video up. I did a recording on how you can use JavaScript and use JavaScript to modify Power Apps. So you can check the channel, you will find the video there. All right, so you can learn about that also. So when you create such JavaScript to also effect changes on your Dataverse, you can bring that script, all right, that you have written into Dataverse and use it to modify your Dataverse forms. Don't forget, the forms is the user interface that Microsoft has given for Microsoft Dataverse. So in Microsoft Dataverse ecosystem generally, we have the power apps, right? The Power Apps have a Canvas app and a model driven app. So the model driven app is a side of that application system that leverages more on Dataverse. It leverages more on Dataverse. The Canvas app also uses Dataverse, but the model driven uses more. So the user interface of a model driven app, when you hear people talk about Canvas app, model driven app, Power Apps, yeah, the model driven app, the user interface of a model driven application is what we call the Dataverse forms and views. The Dataverse forms and views. All right. The Dataverse forms and views form the user interface for Microsoft Power Apps model driven apps. All right. If you also want to know about the Microsoft Power Apps, we have, I think I pinned that on this video, on this live stream. You would see the link to our Power Apps series that we did, and you can go through those videos and learn. Okay, good stuff. All right. So when we talk about event libraries, so event libraries is just how, if you have written a code with JavaScript, how you bring it into Dataverse, right? And we'll be looking at that also. And then, yeah, we'll probably just end the session from after that, and then we'll move to in the next session. We'll look at other things in Dataverse. All right. But today, this will be our focus. This will be the things we'll look into extensively for the next 40 50 minutes. Would go into seeing how forms work, seeing how views work, all right, how chart and dashboard works. We look into business rules, create a few, see how they work, all right, and then look at what if you have a JavaScript written function, how can that function modify your model driven application or your Dataverse forms and all of that. All right, so sit back, relax. I will take it very slow. All right, it's a live session. However, I will take it slow in case you want to follow through. All right, you can follow through. If you cannot follow through, you can just watch, listen. If you have questions, pen them down. When I'm done with the entire practical sessions, drop your questions in the chat and the comment below. All right, I will pick them one after the other and answer them. All right, good. Give me thumbs up if you're good till now. If what I've explained so far till now is clear and understandable before we move directly into our demo. All right. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. So I believe everybody sees the screen. Uh so what you see on your screen, this is the Microsoft Power Apps. All right, this is the Microsoft. All right, fantastic, fantastic. All right, fantastic. Good stuff, everyone. Nice. All right, so let's delve into this and let's do some interesting things. All right, let's make it interesting. We'll do some interesting things. Uh, all right. So this is the Microsoft Power App. So Dataverse as an engine, you can access Dataverse as an engine inside the Microsoft Power Apps. All right, you can access it inside the Microsoft Power Apps. So on the Microsoft Power Apps homepage, all right, you will see where we have the Dataverse. All right, and if you remember from our first session that we already went through some of these things, and then we went into tables and we're able to see how and we're able to manipulate, look into tables, see how to create tables and all of that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do today is I'm just going to go into one of my existing solutions. All right. Uh, if you check our Power Apps video, we explain solutions also. So solution is just a bucket where you can keep all the resource for a project. So if you want to build a project, you do them in a solution. So your applications, your automations, your database, everything, your customization, everything will sit inside a single solution. Everything. So I will just use uh one of my solution here called EduTech Online Solution. So if you see that in my EduTech Online Solution, I have about 17 different resources. So, and if you can see the resources, they are split into, I have flows, I have app, I have tables, right? And I have some web resource. So different entities here. So let's go into tables. And I'm going to open one of the tables we have here. Let's say we have lectures as a table, right? So the first thing we want to look at is forms and views. Forms and views. Follow me. I'm going to take it very slow so we can comprehend. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to do is I would open the forms and views on the back end, and I will open the user interface so you can see what is happening real time. All right. So if you look at the screen, everybody, the first tab here is the tab where I will be accessing the forms on the back end. Don't forget, I am currently on tables. Let me click here so that I can limit. Watch this carefully. I have how many tables here? About 10 tables. Can you see tables? Don't forget, I said that what forms and views are edited on tables. On tables. So they are like, and tables are Dataverse tables. So Dataverse is the one powering those tables. Cool. Good. Now let's go on the flip side of the same solution, and let's launch the application that table and all of that is powering. So this is the application. Let's launch this application. We're going to play the application. Watch this carefully, everybody. All right, good. Uh, okay, I'm just going to play that. Let's just play. So I will run the application so we can see the interface. Okay, watch this. Let it open up. All right, good stuff. Okay, fantastic. Now watch this, everybody. This is the app here. All right, let me bunk. Let me drop the screen a bit. Okay, good. I think this is better, so it makes it very visible. All right, good. So you can see this is the application. Everybody, watch this. This application have a group here. The group is called faculty and people. Under the faculty and people, we have people. We even have dashboard, right? If I can go through each of them one after the other, and then you will see what they all have. Can you see? When I clicked on people, I can see the people in the system. You can even see their details, like their emails and all of that. If I go to faculties, I can see the number of faculties. I can add new faculties. I can do all of that. If I go to admin dashboard, watch this carefully. On the admin dashboard, see, I'm able to see the dashboard construction that I have. See, it's because it's large. If I let's bump it down a bit so you can see how beautiful it bump it down. Can you see now? You see that this is a dashboard where you can see active lectures, active classes, active ratings, and then some active lectures, right? So that's a beautiful dashboard. Like I said, we'll touch base with this, how this comes about, how you can do something like this. All right, good stuff. So let's go back to our faculty. Let me bring the screen up a bit. Don't worry. I'm going to bring it up and down so that we can have good view. So you can see that this is a table. I can switch from this area. If you look at my mouse, bottom left of your screen, if I click on it, I can switch to academics. So it's like you have multiple areas where you are managing. It's an application, like I'm managing an entire educational system. I move to say education, right? See, under academics, I can see lectures, see the lectures that are available, who is the lecturer, who is the lecturer's professor, what is the subject. I can go to programs, see the different programs I do. Now, all of this, it looks beautiful in your eyes, right? So let's look at how these are all information that are imputed to an existing form. Watch this carefully, everybody. So if we click on lectures now, for example, and I do new, watch my mouse, I do new, watch, see information here on the lecture, because this is more of a form. This is what we call form. You see that this is a form. So where you can pass in lecture code and all of those informations we need, right? And I have a different tab here beside the general called lecture details. All right, lecture details. See, so for this lecturer, I'm able to see other details of a lecture. Can you see? I can see maybe registered lectures and all of that. And I can even see feedback and ratings if there are any feedback and ratings. If there's feedback and ratings, the lecturer, once you pick your name, you should be able to see your aggregate rating, which is something I wrote a code for. All right. So this is a form. Can you see that this is the user interface? As a user, I come into the system as a lecturer. I can come and create my lecture here. But where was this created? And is it difficult to create? Yeah, that's one. This is a form. Two, let's go back to lectures again. I will click on lectures. You see that these are active lectures. Active. If I click on the drop down, watch, I can check the current week lecture happening this week. If I click on it, is there any lecture happening this week? Watch. Oh, there are two lectures that happened this week on the 23rd and on the 25th. You see that it has reduced it to two lectures, right? Can you see the views? Can you see the beauty of how I'm engaging the view, right? Good. If I switch again to say inactive lectures, is there any inactive? There's inactive lectures, right? So that is the views. That's what we call views. It's called views. So you can see what views is doing. Views is able to, filter between the informations you have, while form is helping you receive information. Good, right? Now let's go to the back end and see how that is done in Microsoft Dataverse. Simple as anything you can imagine. So in Dataverse, don't forget I just showed you lecture. In Dataverse, there is a table called lecture. Can you see that? I have created a table called lecture, which is the first thing you will do. You create that table, and in that table, you will create the columns you need. What do I mean by columns you need? If we go back to the user interface and we do new lecture, see lecture title, lecture code, faculty, lecture professor, subject chapter, programs. Those are all different fields, and each of those fields are your columns. Follow me here. Each of those fields are what? Your columns. your columns. Good. Now let's open up. All right, we go back to the solution. We now open up that lecture table. Let's open up the lecture table. Good. Notice that in the lecture table, what are the things I can do? I can create my columns, which we looked at in the first lesson, right? We can do relationships. We check that in the first session we have. So you can easily go to the video and watch that again. And then we can do forms and views. Can you see? But before we do that, let's look at the available columns, right? So that we can know what columns we can use to enjoy and create a beautiful user interface that we want, or to receive information that we want into our database. Good. So if you go to columns, let's go to columns. So in columns, can you see we have faculty, lecture, lecture code, lecture feedback. Their data, lecture feedback is a lookup. Lecture professor is a lookup, is looking up to contact. Lecture rating is a lookup, looking up to rating. See that lecture start is date and time. Can you see that data type? So these are your creations. So when you're creating a database, for example, if you want to get my name, you need to get my name as a text. So if I go to the front, can you see lecture title? It should be somewhere. See, lecture title is what set as single line of text. Let's expand that so we can see it well. You see that? Lecture title, where is that? Yep. It's a single line of text because it's just a text. If you want to get the time for the lecture and the date, it's a date and time field. Can you see it? We explained all of that data type in the first session. Okay, good. Now, with all of these things available, we have all of these available. We can now create a form, beautiful form to receive information, right? So now to do that, what do we now do? You now simply go on the same table. Don't forget, we are still on the same table. You are not leaving that table. On the same table, lecture, columns, you can easily click on this drop down, and then you can see where it says data experiences, forms, views. Don't forget, forms used to what? Receive data. Views is used to what? Filter data that are already existing. Good. Good. So let's click on forms right now. So when we click on form, there are three kinds of forms. You can have your card, your quick view, and your main form. The main form is always the form to receive your information. The quick view form is like you want to have a quick create and a quick pop-up on your main form. Your card is like you want to display some sort of information with a form in the card, information about your table. All right. So, but this time, let's create a new main form. So I'll go to new and I'll do main form. Good. New main form. So naturally, it is going to open the existing main form. So I can just save as and then create a new one. All right. So let me do save as, and then let's call this uh Dataverse form. Let's just call it Dataverse form, right? And let's save it off. This webinar. Okay. Beautiful. So form is loading up. All right, good stuff. So hold on, let me go back a bit. I think it didn't save. Let's okay. So this is the form. Let me edit the form. I'll just edit the form. All right, good. So we edit that form now. That Dataverse webinar form. So when we edit the form, watch this carefully. We'll put our information, whatever information you want to receive, how you want to do it. Now, when we get into the form, I will show you the entire form composition and how you can really, really manipulate the form. Okay, good stuff. Now, watch this carefully, everybody. We are inside the Microsoft Dataverse Forms. We are currently inside the Microsoft Dataverse Forms. And if you look at this carefully, you would see the interface is very straightforward and very simple. On the far left, if I expand the far left, you have what we call component, you have what we call table columns, you have what we call tree view, you have your form libraries, and then you have your business rules. So your table columns, if I uncheck this, it's going to show you all the columns, both related columns and the custom columns. It will show you and standard columns. It will show you all the columns that specific table have. See that? It's going to show you all the columns that the specific table possess. That's one, right? That's so you can now pick any of these columns to build and create your own form. Good stuff. And then if you go to components, so components are like your objects, object that you can use to create the form. For example, do you want to have two sessions like this? Do you want to have a subgrid? Do you want to have one column, another tab? Do you want to do bring in a grid to pick information from somewhere? Do you want to, display, show a calendar display? Do you want to, so different things. Let's manipulate, let's play with it, right? Let's play with it, and see how it works. Good stuff. Now what we'll do, everybody, that's for that. And then we have the tree view. We have the tree view. So the tree view is just your form is just your form hierarchy. So for example, at the very top here is, if I click on this, that's the header of the form. The very top, that's the form header. You see that where you have the new lecture, that's the form header. Where you have this general, this is the form body, this is the entire body of the form, and then you can bring in the footer. So it's just the same way you would do with your web platform: header, body, footer. All right, good stuff. And then you have your form libraries. I talked about libraries earlier. So if you have written anything with JavaScript, this is where you can bring it in. If you have at all written anything with JavaScript, you can bring it here as a library. Okay. And then you can also write business rule. I talked about business rule as validations. You can write it for your form validations. All right. So those are things you can do. Good. Now, on the right hand side is the properties. So for any object you bring in from here, table is a tree view. Then on the right hand side is the properties. If I click on any object here now, watch. You see on the right hand side there is the property that pops up for me to be able to pass in information. That's the idea. So a property pops up, I can fill in information and do all of that. Good. Now let's do a quick form manipulation and then we'll go to views. Okay, so let's close this. So now this is already an existing form. So what I will do is I'm just going to remove everything here. I'm just going to delete everything that we have here. Uh, okay, good. I've removed that. I'll just delete everything. Oh, okay, yeah. This is a required field. I get. So the thing is, when you have a required field on a session somehow, you might not eliminate unless you apply it somewhere else. So that's if a field is required and you already bring it to a form, you might not be able to remove that unless you probably go and change it from required to not required. All right. So that's something that happens with forms most times. All right. But let me chunk off all of these elements. So since we have some required field here, what I'll do is I can remove them. Okay, so let's leave this and let's do other things. So what we'll do is this, everybody watch this. I want to bring in uh, a component. Let's say I want to bring in a two. Let me try something that I can do. Okay, good. So I want to bring in, say, another tab. Let's bring in a new tab, a fresh tab. I click on one column tab. Watch. The moment I click on one column tab, notice something. There is a new tab here. And you see the tab? So when I click on that new tab, you see it's blank, currently blank. There's nothing here right now. So on the right hand side is where the properties is, like I told us. So I can go to that right hand side and then maybe call it webinar tab. Yeah, let's call it webinar tab. You see that? And let's just give it a name, say webinar, something like that. Uh and then this session here is just a single session. I can decide to make it a 2-column session, 1-column session. So if I want to make it a 2-column session, all I need to do is come here and click on 2-column session. Hold on, not that. Boom, boom, boom. All right, good. So I'll just turn it to 2 columns. Watch, and then already, if I bring in anything, I to section it on one side. So if I bring in, say, let's go to table, and I just say, let me bring in faculty. So you can see that faculty is here, and on the other side, there's still possibility of bringing anything here. So I can bring in, say, lecture title. Watch. See? So you see that they are both now on the same page as 2 different columns. Can you see? Faculty is here, lecture title is here, because I have selected for that section, I've selected 2 columns. 2 columns. And that's how you can modify. You can decide to go 3 columns, 4 columns, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Okay. And the beauty is, if I bring this up again, let's expand it again. Okay, go back a bit, not too large. So the beauty is, I can, if I want to now add other informations under this, I can easily add those information. So I have faculty, for example. I might want to say, okay, for the faculty, let's get the professor, right? Or professor comes in. All I'm doing is clicking. So I have this selected. I'll just come here after the professor. I want to get the programs. Can you see the programs? I click on the program. Boom. Don't forget, I am currently on the table columns. Table columns. Yeah. So I put the professor in. Let's leave that like that. On the other side, I have my lecture title. I might say, okay, after the lecture title, I want the system to give me the lecture code automatically, which is an automatic, an auto number. And then after the lecture code, probably I want to get the subject. I want to also pick the subject. Yeah, the subject. You see that? So this becomes the information I will be seeing on the user interface, right? As the case may be. I can switch the tab, make it maybe make this one the webinar tab the first tab, all right, which everybody will see. And I can just change the section name to call it maybe you know, new lecture, something like that. New lecture. Let's just call it new lecture. And boom, watch. It changes new lecture. Cool stuff, right? Then on the general tab here, I could just hide the general tab if I don't even need it. I could just hide it. See, if I don't need it, just hide it. That's fine. All right. But in some cases, anyways, when we get to the UI, we'll check. In some cases, because it has required field, there might be some need to input those informations by, by fire by force, as the case may be. So we have another tab here called lecture details. Do I need it? If I need information from there, I can leave it. These are what we call subgrids. Subgrids are like helping you pull information from a different table, right? So how do we do subgrids? Let's do one of them. I'm just going to remove all of these ones, current ones, chunk it out, and then chunk this out. Good. So we have our plain section again, the same way. So if you want to, maybe you want on this same form, you want to also be able to manage and undo another table entirely. You can leverage on subgrid. So if you go to components and then you go to grid, you can easily look for subgrid, and then it's asking you which related table do you want to talk to. You can say show me related table. That means I want to see every table that is directly related to my own table, and you can see them here. And then you can decide to pick any of them. Maybe it's feedback for the lecture you want to see, maybe it cost resources and all of that. You can just select. So in my case, let me say, should we do class or cost resources? We can just do anyone. Let's say cost resources, for example. Yeah. Cost resources, good. And I want to see active cost resources. And I'll just click on done. Watch. So these are cost resources. I don't have anything there. And then you can now manipulate it. You don't want to have it this way. So you might want to call resources, just rename it on the right hand side on the properties. You see how straightforward it is, right? You see, bring in your element, rename. Nothing too difficult. So I can call it course resources, right? And then I can show, see, I can try to say I want the default view to be active. Don't forget views. I want it to be active. I can do a lot of manipulations depending on what you want, how many rows. I can say, okay, what maximum rows on a single view should be 5, and then instead of, see, I don't want to have, come on, okay, let's wait for it. All right, good. Lecture details. Okay, so I might say I don't want to have course resources like I have here, right? It's not looking so good, and I'm having new section here also, so I can just hide this new section statement, just hide the label, see that, and then it takes the label off, so that this looks pretty neat. And if I scroll to the right, you see I can add new course resources, I can add existing course resources. It is an existing one. I can even run an automation here. It's beautiful stuff. Can you see? So I can manage course resources at the table on this same lecture form. Can you see the idea? On the same lecture form. So that's the interesting thing now. So let's leave it as this. So you can explore further with your forms. For those who are familiar with Power Apps, you can, if you have a Canvas app, for example, you can embed a Canvas app on the model driven. Very straightforward. For example, let me add one more section. I can add one column section below, and maybe you have a Canvas app. You can easily go to display and bring in Canvas app. See, all you need to do is put your app ID, your app name, and then your app comes into the system. You see that I don't have any Canvas app on this particular tenant I'm using, but if so, you can easily bring in your app, and then before you know it, on the same model driven, your app is visible and live. You get the point, right? The same thing. You might want to do a calendar view and maybe pass a data into it's so beautiful. Maybe you want to see an information in a calendar mode. For example, say uh, I want to look for class. Where's class? Classes. Yeah. Load up classes, active classes, good. And then the table column is I want to see start date, uh start date, right? The description is maybe I want to see the class name or the student, something like that. And then the table column for the end date, I will select the end date also. And then probably for the end date, okay, there's really nothing. Duration, yeah, that should automatically come in. And then status reason, maybe choice, and I just click on done. So this will bring in a calendar. You see the beauty? It will bring in it, see, watch, bring as a calendar for me. If it was an external website and I want to see, it brings it in as a calendar. So if there's a class I'm having and all of that, I can view my class immediately here. Beautiful, right? On the same form, let's do the same thing. Uh, let's call it student classes, right? Let's call it classes. So it looks uh beautiful. And then for the section, let's just hide the label. I showed us that earlier. Hide the label. See, boom, clean, right? When you are done, you see that many things. You can have multiple tabs, as much as you want, multiple columns. Just enjoy it as much as you want to do. Just play with it. All of these elements are there for you to use, right? If you have an HTML web resource, you can bring it in and all of that, like I showed to us earlier. I will show us how to bring in a JavaScript when we get to event libraries. Don't worry, I will do that for us on this same course. If you have a Power BI, maybe report, you can embed the report, right? These are beautiful things you can do with forms. So you see, now it's easy. We have a simple form here. Let me bring this down a bit. We have a simple form here that we can use to collect a few information about a lecture. Can you see? And then on the same form, we can also, see information about course resources. We can see information about classes. these are user interface experience. You see what we've done now? We'll publish this. When we publish it, we'll now go to the user interface of the model-driven app, which is like our app, to see what we've done and see how these things we've done works. All right. So that's for the forms. When we're done with these forms, we'll see it how it works. We'll do the views, see how the view works also. Cool stuff. All right. So let's just publish. So when I publish, it saves it also automatically. All right. Let's go. If you're getting something in the lecture, just give me thumbs up in the chat. Let me know that we're following. If you're still following me, you're getting one or two things, just drop a thumbs up in the chat so I know people are still here. All right, just drop a thumbs up in the chat. Okay. All right, good. Now we are back on the application, on the user interface directly. I'm just going to do an add refresh. Let me do an add refresh, Control Shift R, so that it loads in the entire information again. All right, so it loads the entire information again. All right, cool stuff. I see your thumbs up. Fantastic. All right. All right, good. So now watch this carefully, everybody. So we've reloaded the system, but you would notice that what you're seeing is still that old form I showed you earlier, right? Yes, it's still the old form. How you can do this is the beauty about how it works. We'll talk about the security side in a much later episode, right? Where you can manage what everybody sees. So the system can check who is currently logged in, and based on who is logged in, you can probably limit the form that you would see. All right, we'll talk about that. But today, all I need to just do is I can go down here where you have lecture information, click on this drop down, and then can you see my form? Dataverse webinar form. See? Dataverse webinar form. So all I need to do is select that form, watch, and then boom, here is our form. You see that? Beautiful on the UI. And as an end user, I don't know what you've done on the back end. All I'm seeing on the front end as an end user is this. I can create information on my about this lecture. I can go to lecture details and see information. You can see classes, right? Don't forget, resources is not showing yet because you don't have a lecture yet. So let's create a lecture, simple one. So let's pick a faculty. Let's say faculty of data engineering. Let's say the professor is Fred J. Amata. The program here is Diploma in Data Engineering. The lecture title for this lecture, the lecturer says, today we are looking at data customization. Let's just use that, data customizations. Yeah, good. Don't worry about the lecture code. It will auto generate, which is good. And then the subject is data analytics. Let's just leave it at that. Data analytics, something like that. And then I'll save. Watch, I'm saving. So once I save, yeah, we can now go to the lecture details because already on the table we already did we created a field called lecture code and we set it to auto number. I explained all of those in the first session. We set it to auto number where it can automatically give the every course a code like that. Cool stuff. Yeah. All right, so you see we have all of this information now. So if you now go to lecture details, so you see that course resources is here and there's class, but there's no class yet, right? So we can't see any information. So let's create those information. For example, let's create the lecture resources. So I can go to new course resources. See, I'm not leaving the same interface. And now, as a lecturer, I want to say I've created the lecture. This is the resources for you guys to probably study ahead for the lecture and all of that. Yeah. So I'll go to new course resources and watch this. When I go to new course resources, watch my navigation switch to new course resources, right? But there's a lecture name here. Don't mind this no name. It's because of what I set. I set it to name. So that's why. But you can see that there's a lecture resources here, right? In this case, let me see if I can put a name so that we can solve that part of things. Let's call it, what's that lecture that, let's say data customization, right? Data customizations. So let's just save that. All right, fantastic. Saved. New course resources, data customization. So, all right, good. So let's say as a lecturer, I'm saying I want to read a book on the book I want to read is data uh engineering. Let's do a quick search online, right? Quick one. Say data engineering PDF. Let's do a quick search. Any book. Okay, let me do fundamentals. Engineering can be too wide. Let's do fundamentals. Aha. Okay. So let's just copy this link, for example. So data fundamentals by Biofarm. Good. So as a lecturer, I can just come and say data engineering, data fundamentals, yeah, by Biofarm. You see that? I'm feeling, let me increase my screen so we can see. So you see, I pass that information, and then the resource type, I will tell them the resource is probably a book reference. The link, I can put that link there. I copied it earlier. Can you see? And then the glossary, I can tell them to just search for specifically customizations. See that? And I'll just save. I'll just save. Good. I'll save. All right. Fantastic. So you can see now that information. So if I go back, boom, watch. See, the information is here on that specific course, on the specific lecture called data customization. These are the references, right? And then there's a calendar here, but there's nothing on the calendar because it's a class calendar. So as a student, you could go to classes to go and register a class. So this is classes here. So a student can go to classes. Uh, don't worry. This application is an application I built for somebody, for some people. So I'm just using it to explain this. All right. So it's clear to us. So I can come here as a student. Let me just probably create a class for myself. Let's just say class name is definitely is uh, data engineering, something like that. And then I'll pick the specific lecture, data customizations. Professor is Fred J. Amata. The course is data analytics, subject, uh, data fundamentals, something like that, or data customization. Let's just maintain it. Yeah. And then maybe, you know, there's a chapter. So normally the professor should have added chapter, but we didn't add it on this one. So let's say we give them a chapter 3 to read, and then the faculty is of data engineering, and then the student is Ayo, and then the class start period uh, is probably, let me just say today at, let's go for a later time. Let's say today at 5 p.m., right? And it's supposed to also end today at maybe 7 p.m., the 2 hours class. All right, something like that. And I can just save. Good. Probably drop a rating later. All right, but there's a class now, right? Good. So go back to lectures. All right, we'll go back to lectures, data customizations, lecture details. Watch the body carefully, and boom, see data engineering from 5 to 7. So you are able to view calendar. So as sure that we can students register for the class, I can view that. Can you see the beauty? So that form is give the user interface where you can engage things. See, create your information and all of that and engage. You see all of this information we've created, they are all saved on the Dataverse database. That's the beauty. The form is getting that information. That information is being saved on the database. How do I know? Let's go to our database and let's go and confirm if all of these elements are truly on the database. Good. We submitted an information on the lecture table. We submitted an information on the course resource table, and then we submitted another information on the class table, right? So let's pick it one by one. We'll click on tables, watch carefully. You see how seamless it is, right? To do that. So if you go to the lecture table, open the lecture table up. Don't worry if it is only forms and views and then events that we can touch today. We'll have another session. Watch this. So let me filter by this information here. This is your database where you can see your information. Let's filter. Let's just remove all of this. What was the information we selected? We selected faculty. We selected lecture code. Yeah, we selected lecture professor. Which selected. Let's just have a view into faculty. Okay, we selected programs, lecture title, lecture code. All right, good. Lecture code, lecture title. We selected what else? Program. Uh, what else? What else? What else? Subject. Good stuff. We didn't select subject chapter when we're creating the form. So those 6 elements. So let's save them and let's see whether we have those 6 elements in the database. Watch this. Faculty of what's the code? LTR1001. What's here? LTR1001. Let's check the information. Professor is what? Fred J. Amata. You see, data customizations is the lecture title. Diploma in data engineering. Subject is data analytics. You see that? Information saved in your database. Beautiful. See how seamless it is, right? Notice I've not written any code. It's just me picking elements together. I went to forms, picked the elements together, went back to the app, passed my information. You see that? Good. So let's go to course resource, right? We also passed information there. So let's go to information, let resource type, link, glossary, book title, and okay, good stuff. So let's check that also. We'll remove all the elements here. Let's just pick the information we want to see. We want to see book title. Uh, we want to see glossary. We want to see lecture. You can just even leave it at those 3. Okay, there's link here. Good. What other things do you use? Okay, that's fine. Those 4. Watch, let it load up. Beautiful. Can you see data fundamentals by Biofarm? Is that what we have? Data fundamentals by what? Biofarm. Seamless in database. And what else? Customizations, data customizations. We have the Bing link. Seamless. Seamless. Can you see how information flow by using the simple form? And you see how simple it was to create those form, right? Guys, we saw how I added the form here. Straightforward, nothing. We just bring in our sections and then you just bring in the columns you need. If you need any information on your form, you must go back to create the column in the table before you now come back and add it to the form. Okay, that's the process. Good. I hope that's clear. Now let's check the flip side, which is the views, right? The views. Now I talked about the forms and the views. Look at this currently, everybody. On the views right now, okay, I did not add views to this. No problem. Let's click on lectures. If I click on lectures right now, all we have, and if we filter that lecture by current week, watch analytics, data analytics. This is the one I just created, I think, and then this is the other one. So we can do filtering. If there's inactive lectures, we can see. But let's go and create another view with a different method in our mind, right? How do you do that? The same approach. If you go back to your Dataverse, wherever your Dataverse is, inside the same table, follow that ideology, guys. I've said tables. Let me see if I can draw tables to what? To columns. Yeah. Then inside the tables, you go to views, and then you go to what? You go to forms. All right. That is the approach. That is the approach. Never miss that. All right. Tables, you start from tables. When you enter your table in Dataverse, then you navigate to forms or views. So forms and views are always, so they are always created. Forms and views are always created in uh, a table. All right. Forms and views are always created in the table. Never forget that. All right. Not outside the table, inside a table. Good stuff. All right. So let's go back. Load it then. All right. So we're back in the tables again. So you see that we're currently in forms. So we can now switch from forms to what? To views. We can switch from forms to views, right? Good stuff. So you can see different kind of views that we have, right? Public view, advanced view, lookup view. But when it comes to your user experience, it's always the public view. Okay, the public view is the view that the end users will be able to engage with and see. Always the public view. Okay, good stuff. So let's create our own view, a different view, just to do something else. I'll click on new view. Let's call it the webinar view. Yeah, good. Webinar view. All right, and then we create the view. Watch how seamless it is. Beautiful, simple, straightforward. Nobody, nothing. See, immediately I got in here. Can you see all the information here? Let's increase this a bit. You can see all the available lecture already are showing, but that's not what I'm looking for. Unlike the form, on the form, we have on the navigation here, we have components, table columns, forms library, and all of that. On the views, we don't. We only have table columns. That's all. Because what you want to do is just see your information, right? And to see your information, they are only based on the columns that you have. Good. So, which means just the columns is required, nothing else. And then after that, you can now write the condition to show. See, because if I want to see the courses for today, there has to be a condition that says check this information for today. You get the gist, right? If I want to see information for last week, there has to be a condition that says show me information for last week. So you might be thinking, okay, how do I write that logic? You don't have to write the logic. There's already what we call filters here. You see my mouse? Filters are here already. Good stuff. And then sorting is here. That's the beauty of what we're talking about. All right. You see, you get to the point where you exhaust this system. You exhaust it so much that by the time you want to go to external customizations, apart from this, out of the box customizations, you will have exhausted the out of the box customization first before external ones. Cool stuff. Yeah. All right. So what informations do we want to see? Definitely, we want to see the lecture name. That's fine. Let's say we want to see the lecture code. Yeah. Lecture code. Reduce this a bit. So we can have a more view. So let's say lecture code. What informations can we want to see? Faculty. Uh, let's say I want to check created on when it was created. So when was the lecture created? All right. So the created is here. Should we just leave it at this? Maybe check the lecture professor or the program. You can check the program. We can even and then check the professor. Yeah, I can. That's not bad. Those informations are good enough. All right. So the question now is, when should this view show, or what condition would make this view condition have data in it? See, so we can now write a condition. Watch this. Just click on edit filter here on the right, edit filter, and then you can now write a condition. Just click on add a row, and then watch. You see, it brings all your columns for you. So you can now say that what if lecture, I can say if lecture, or lecture title. Do we have lecture title selected? Lecture title, lecture title. Let me add lecture title. Just want to have so we can use it for something. I'll just say lecture title. Let me drag it forward a bit. Lecture title. I will remove this name is having the same information as lecture title. So let me just do lecture title here. Okay. So I'm thinking, let's just say if lecture title equals or contains, let's say if lecture title contains data. But yeah. Let me see. Yeah. So if lecture title contains data, and let's see, there's data here, there's and view. Let me say and view contains data. Okay, let's do another one. We can add another, or let's just leave it at that. So let's leave it at this condition to say if lecture title contains data. So when it looks at that text of lecture title and it finds data written there, it will move it to webinar view. So that will be what will be seen on webinar view. Yeah. See, you can have other conditions. Okay, you can decide to do it. You can say if lecture was created on this specific day or in this week, you can, so you can add, if I add another one and say and that lecture is probably created on equals maybe this week, yeah, something like that. So if this is this and this is this week, so it should show me this information here, right? Good stuff. So let's publish that. You can see we can even sort in case you want to sort, maybe sort by ascending to descending, descending to ascending based on a specific column. All right, you can do that. All right, good stuff. But let's, once you click on sorting, everybody, if you click on sorting, sort by created on what, can you see how it brings this arrow in? See that upper arrow, it brings it in. Come on, what's going on? It brings that arrow in. Let me reload. I think I change where it's still publishing. Let's give it a moment. I was making a change while it was still publishing, so there will be some sort of catched mismatched. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Sorry, apologies. I have to do that again because I was not patient enough. Let's chunk this out. Lecture title, lecture code, lecture professor, created on, let's just put faculty, and then let's just put programs. We'll just leave it at that. Let's just run the filter again. All right, and say if lecture title contains data, yeah, data and created on uh is this week. Yeah, cool. Created on is this week. All right, I'm just going to expand it a bit. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, good stuff. So you see the way I'm customizing. Yeah, I can customize, drag open, and all of that. So those are the things you can do. All right, so okay, and I will sort by created on. All right, good. So you can see the arrow. Let's save and publish. So we'll save and publish. We'll go back to the UI and then we'll see how it works. All right. So this is forms and views in Dataverse. Beautiful system to use to manipulate things, right? Good stuff. If you're working with Canvas apps, all right, in Canvas, you can always do that modifications yourself on the UI or inside Canvas app directly. But if you're working with a model-driven app, you need to do it directly from this point, all right, from the Dataverse backend point. All right, I think we're good. All right, you see already that the rule is working already. All right, but let's go to the UI. That's simple. Everyone add refresh. Don't forget, add refresh, Control Shift R. So you do an add refresh. So what that does is clears the cache and then gives me you know Hold up, hold up, hold up. Not learning something. If you're learning anything, put it in the comment section. Say, I'm learning, I'm learning. All right. If you're learning anything, just put it in the comments or the chat session. Yes, I'm learning something. I'm learning something. Just put it there. All right. So good stuff here, everybody. Look at this now. We have we have uh all these lectures. These are all active lectures, right? But now I want to see the lecture that contains data, that in the name is called data. You know, somebody can come and say, I want to search for data, any lecture on data. You see that? So all we need to do, if I go to these views, don't forget I told us this is views here. I will click on it, and then can you see the webinar view? Wait, you saved it twice. This guy. If I click on the webinar view, now you can see. Can you see data customizations? Can you see that? So the rule says it contains data. One, number two, it was created today. So created on is today, 28th, and then it contains data. Now, can you see that it has removed every other view? If I switch from that view to current week has its own uh also. So it means show me what I can't remember what I do here because it should be showing the 28 also, but I will check. This might be a different writing. I will check what I did. So I think this is based on subject. Yeah. And then if I go to all active lectures, I'm able to see all my lectures again. If I go to what webinar view, I'm able to see this alone because the condition is fulfilled. Condition says it contains data and then is created today. Can you see that? And that's what view does. So you can manipulate, can move between different data instances. All right. So forms, views. Does that make sense? So you see that on your application now, on this application, for every of these, guys, look at this very carefully. Watch this, because I know that somebody might be wondering, Ayo, what is that stuff? Show me what is this. You can be seeing all of this and you're wondering what is this. See, lectures, programs, courses, course resource, classes, feedback, ratings, they are all your tables. All we did was just bring them to the user interface. All right, don't worry, we'll talk about that later when in our model driven training later, when we're talking about model driven sitemap and all of that. All of these are your tables. How do I know? Let's go to solutions. Boom, watch, click tables. Can you see them here? Class, course, resource, faculty, feedback, rating. These are your tables. I have 10 of them. See them here. See them here. If I switch back to the initial area, edutech area, this is the other ones. You see this one that says faculty, that's faculty. I only rename it to faculties with ES, is faculty. You see this one that says people, yeah, is it another table called contact. You see this table called contact. I renamed it to what? To people. Is looking into, can you see my active contact? If I drop down, I can see all contact. Watch. If I click on all contact, see, there's about 7 contacts. If I click on my active contact, it reduces it to what? To 3 of them. See that my active contact is the contact I created. All contact is the contact that anybody that is in the system. Can you see? Views. So we are using views to manipulate what we see. And if I want to get any new contact information, I click on new. You see, the contact form, I put the information I need and I save, and it saves on the database. So every single one of them has a form. All right. Every single one of those tables have their form and then their views to show their information. All right. But this one is an admin dashboard. If I click on this, I've shown us earlier, is a dashboard, and this is a link to the website. So I linked our platform website. See, if I click on it now, it takes me to our Power Apps pages because we built the website on the Power pages. See, it takes me to the Power pages website, which I linked to that platform. I linked it to the model driven. Now, this is the instance now. Can you see? Different from this. You see the beauty of what's going on, guys. All of this I'm showing you. Dataverse, my screen. What's going on here? Can you leave the screen for us? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So all this inside the Microsoft. Okay. Oh, okay. So some people say the screen did not update. Just drop in the comments the last you saw before the screen froze. Just let me know the last thing you saw, so I know what I spoke about, and I'll just repeat it. Just show me what was the last thing I spoke about. Just drop it in the comment section. All right, because I believe that people who will be watching replays, those who will be watching replays also might miss that step. So just drop it in the comments, and I will explain what it was. All right, I'll just go back there. So what I was explaining, I'm just waiting. Let me wait a moment. Okay. From where I was filtering for contact. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. So what I said was on the same model driven application, yeah, I have another field here called contact, right? So I renamed it to people. Don't worry about that. There's a training that I think if you go to our Power Apps training, is pinned here. I think episode 3, either episode 3 or episode 4. We were talking about model driven apps. You will see how all of this came about. You can go watch that video and learn from there. All right, good stuff. So like I said, we can filter contact, my active contact, and all contact in the environment, as the case may be. You can see I have about 7 different contacts, and then if I filter them by my contact, it limits it to what the contact that I created thereabouts. You see that? So that's the beauty of that. So okay, good stuff. So I hope we get that. I think that was the part most of us missed when the screen froze. Okay, so it was just me showing us those table elements, and then I said you can see here we linked our website. This is a URL. All of these are model driven elements. So like I said, check the video out. You will see how we do all of that. All of this is just a link. We added our website link. So if I click on this link directly, it takes me here to the website of that platform. So you see all of those things I was feeling earlier, all of those lectures. Remember, I was feeling lectures, I was feeling courses. So instead of me doing that here, maybe you don't want people to have access to this model driven. Maybe probably the model, I labeled it what I called it admin. It might be an admin platform for your admin alone. So in that case, you might want to create a proper website for people to be able to interface and drop information to your database, right? So you can create web platforms. So like I have a Power Pages here. This is the Power Pages where people can easily go into these Power Pages. You see, register, check our offerings, and then probably you're a professor. You can go. If I click on professor right now, as a professor, I can create lecture from here. So when I create lecture directly, can you see that? So if I create lecture directly from, you can see the same information, everybody. The same information, right? Lecture, start time, start date. So once I saw this information, submit to the database, and then this admin person also will be able to see that information real time. You see that? See that information real time. That's the beauty. That synergy is what this system gives. All right. So we've looked at forms and we've looked at views. All right. Let's look at one more thing. All right. Let's look at one more thing, and then we would take questions and wrap up the session for today. And that is the logic side, the business rule, and all of that, the side of things, business rules. Now, I said something about validations and logics. Okay, validations and logics. What do we mean by that? It means that when you create a system like this, there would be cases where you want some things to happen, you want to cause some things not to happen, and that's what business rule and the likes can do for you. So, for example, let's pick a very simple scenario on this lectures table that we're working with. So we can say that if let's look at it. Let's say If lecture title contains information, the system should show lecture code. If lecture title does not contain information, it should hide lecture code. Something as simple as that, right? Something as simple as that. How do you do this with business rule? I will show us the entire business rule composition. You can explore. I would create one or two rules, and then you can delve into it on your own. All right, good. Like I said, I have pinned some links in the description that you can use to fly from here. All right, good stuff. So let's go to our table. Don't forget the rule is what? Go back to your table, Dataverse table. That's what I love about Dataverse. It chunks and that reduces headache, because when you are able to do everything on a single, so I know that if I want to create business rule for that same lecture, I don't have to think of, oh, where should I do that? Where should I do that? How should I do the connection? No, 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 no. I am going back to the lectures table. That's all. You see that? Go back. All right. So all you need to do is lectures table. So once you get on the lectures table, right? Like you can see now. All right. I don't know if you can see it. Let me hold on a minute for everybody to catch up with that. Okay. Good. So if you are on the lectures table, so on the lectures table now, you now go to where we have business rules. Beautiful thing is you can actually access the business rule uh, directly in the forms. I showed us that earlier. At the same time, you can access it directly from your table here. So either ways, you can access it from both angles. All right, you can access it from both angles either ways. All right, as the case may be. Okay, good stuff. So let me drop a message in the chat in case the screen froze on you. Just close and re-enter. So for those who is live with us, in case the screen froze on you, the idea is uh it's probably from the YouTube side. Just close and then enter back. All right, just close and enter back. It happens like that for live streams. Okay, just close, enter back. Good. All right, good. So we are back on the lectures table and we are going to business rules. I will open it in a new tab. Business rules. Business rules. Let's do this. Business rules, people. Okay. All right, good. Just wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay. I'm just going to open rule, new business rule. All right, new business rule. Come on now. All right. Okay, so it's opening up now. The studio is opening up now. Let's wait for it to open up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. All right. So that took a while, but all right, good. Now that took a while, I think, but now we're good. It's live. All right, beautiful. All right, good. We're live. All right. Now watch this, everybody, carefully. Right. This is the business rule interface. Okay. Uh, and it's it's all logic. What you see, it's all basic. Is it's just all logic. So you see that it's starting from a condition which is logical, right? As to uh something should cause something should happen. So conditional in this case. And when you set a condition for something to happen, the next thing that would follow such condition would be that, okay, when this happens or based on this activity, then what should be the follow-up actions, right? What should be the follow-up actions? And that's why we have what we call components. All right. So you set a condition and then you set the follow-up, activities. If this happen, then this should happen. If this occurs, then this should happen. You see that? That's what business rule does for you. So, and you can see you cannot determine what do you want to happen. So, for example, you have what we call set visibility. So, set visibility is show something or hide something. Set business required is mean make something important or make it not important. Do you see that? Set default values. Probably you want to, based on an action, put this value on this particular field. Set default value is like base value, and then set value is like you're passing a parameter to a field. And then show error message. Oh, based on this activity, show this error message. Can you see that? We'll do some nice ones now. And then you can have lock, based on an activity, lock a field or show a field, right? Let's pick a few of them. Let's just explore with it, right? So I will click on condition right now, everybody. I will click on condition. And I'm going to do this. Let's just call it webinar condition. So we'll just keep calling it webinar. Webinar condition. Good. Uh, and our table is lecture. You can see that our table is selected. And I want to say that if lecture title, yeah, is that what we're doing? Let's go and check. Oh, I don't have so many guys opened. Lecture title, okay. So if lecture title say contains data, yeah. So if lecture title contains data, I will apply. See that? If lecture title contains data, I can now put and say, then do this. Can you see that? If yes, I will go to component and I can now say, you know what? Set visibility. I will drag this here and drop it here. Watch. You see, I would say, let me say, show lecture code, right? Show lecture code. So I will say, look for lecture code and set it to yes and apply. Can you see the condition? Watch this. Can you see this, everybody? Lecture title contains data. Show lecture code. Can you see? If it does not contain, if no, I will go and I can say hide. So hide what? Hide lecture code, something like that. Can you see? These are validations. Hide lecture code. And I will pick lecture code here. You see that these are all your columns returning back to you. You just pick it and I'll set it to no and I will apply. Did you see that? Very straightforward rule. Let me bump this down a bit. So can you see if condition says lecture title contains data, show lecture code. If it does not contain data, hide lecture code. You see that rule? Straightforward, simple rule. Yeah, cool stuff. Let's do one. Let's do another rule. Let's say, um, so if it does not contain data, hide this. But before we hide this, yes, hide this, and let's add another component. Let's say show error message. Yeah, show error message. Maybe show error message. Yeah, and yeah, error message. Let's do something like that. Show error message, which is for show error message on lecture title, and say that what you must put in the title of this lecture, something like that. Let's just play around that. Yeah, and then let's apply. Good. So let's just leave it as simple as this. Okay, you can explore, like I said, you can explore all the components, all all of them. You can even just explore it as much as you want. All right. Now I would save this. I'll save this rule for validation. The rule is currently in draft. Draft means it's not published, so it's not going to be useful on the application interface. So it's still in draft. Good. So first thing is you save. When you are done saving, the next thing you want to do is now to activate. You see that? So activation is like you're publishing the rule. So you save the rule and then you activate the rule. So watch this now. Once the activation process is done, it will change from draft that you can see on the bottom left. All right. It will change from draft and then to change to activate. Good stuff. Activated thereabout. All right. Let's do that. Let's check that. Okay. We're running out of time. Come on now. And I still want to show us one more thing after this. Well, let's do that. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on now. Internet, work with us. Work with us, work with us. Okay, let's go. Reception, work with us, work with us. Okay. So once this rule is activated, we'll just test it. All right, we'll test it. Uh, Come on now. Don't do this to us. Okay, just give it a moment. I think I'm having. Okay, good. Uh, all right, so activation on the way. Activation on the way, on the way. Good. And now it is activated. Right now it's activated. So now that it's activated, let's go to the UI, to the application UI, and let's do an add refresh. So we'll just do an add refresh, and then we test those things immediately. I'm shocked. I'm sure that some of them are even function on application load. Watch. Boom, boom, boom. You see that, everybody? Watch my screen carefully. Can you see? Lecture title does not have data. Can you see the error message? It says lecture title. You must put in the title of the lecture. You must put in the. Can you see the error message? Notice something, everybody. Can you see that lecture code is hidden? Lecture code is hidden. That is exactly the rule we wrote. Nothing changes. You see, the rule says hide lecture code. It is hidden if there is no data on this. But the moment I go now and I pass in data, lecture title is fundamentals. Yeah, and I click out. Boom. You see, lecture code is here. Everything is good. If I remove fundamentals out of there, boom, the error is back again. Can you see? That exactly is what business rule does for you. All right. Good. So, like I said, you can explore the business rule options. You see all the options that are there, right? Explore all of those options that are there from the lock, show message. Just explore the options, and not just the options. Explore the conditional options also. Very important. Let me deactivate for a moment so I can show us. Explore the conditional options also, because they are very, very key. Watch this carefully. Why do I say that you should do that? Is because you have leverage of creating multiple rules. Like for example, you see, I have this rule here. I can add a new rule to the rule. I'm not limited to one. I can add a new rule to that rule. And when you are doing your rule, your operators are enormous. You can have an information equals to something, and an information contains something, and all of that. So you can really express yourself. So when you now get to the point where you're stuck, oh, the business rule is not achieving all you really, really do need, right? Because one caveat is that business rule is limited in a way to a table. So that means you must create the business rule on a table. That's the little limitations you might want to have. Create it on a table. So if you now have scenarios, all right, let me show you something. If you have use cases, if you have use cases where you want to manipulate more than one table, all right, then you can write a JavaScript to perform that activity. Bring the JavaScript into the business rule, into the Dataverse form, and then you will see it work. I'll just show you one I've done, and then you see how it works, so that you know it's possible. All right. So I'm taking you into my organization's environment. I have a simple project here. On this project, I have written a script. Let me show you the script. So you just have a view. So what this script is supposed to do for me is hide a tab, show a tab, all of those kind of things, and that's what I've written here. You can see I've created so many things. You see that different events. This event happens on load of a system. This event happens on change of a system, and all of that. So I've created that event to perform this activity for me in this case. So that's the so don't for I have, like I said, I have a video that I explained how I created all of this. You can check out the video and watch it. Okay. So imagine you've done this. The next thing you want to do is bring that script into your solution. Now talk about solution. So if you look at my screen right now, we have this solution and this is the script. How did we bring the script in? It's very simple. You just simply go to add, yeah, more resources, web resource. Scripts are always web resources, okay? Web resource, and all you need to do is put the nomenclatures in, make sure you select your type to be JavaScript, if it's a JavaScript script or something else, and then just choose your file. So when you click on choose your file, just go and pick the script wherever you have saved the script on your computer. Just save the script, all right? That's all you need to do to bring it into your solution. So I brought this into the solution. How do you now add it to a form that makes it active? So this particular application, let me show you the UI of this one. This is the application of this is the UI, all right, project. This is a UI. This is a live project. So this is it's not a live project, right? It's a training project too. This is a project. So let's go to the back end. Don't forget the rule. The rule is what? Tables. The same way, tables, forms. All right, tables. Let me put that so that we can remember. Tables, and then from tables you go to forms. Yeah, and then from forms you go to events. All right, I'm just going to save that so everybody can follow that to tables, forms, events. Good. So let's go to tables. And in this case, the table we want to work with is the project table. I think I'm correct. The project table. Next step is to go to forms, and then your main information form. All right, you can have more than one main information form. On the one we just finished, we had like two, right? So we're good. So open the main information form, All right. If you have questions while I'm explaining this, please just drop them in the comment or in the chat. If you have questions, just drop them in the comment or in the chat. Once I'm done this explanation, we take those questions and we can end the session. All right. This is a different form, like entirely. So once you are in a form, every form have what we call event. I showed us here earlier. Remember this form libraries. So the question is, what is the activity that your library is performing? So what do I mean by activity? So is the function going to be on a tab? This is a tab. Don't forget a section, which is fields, right? You need to determine, is the function going to happen when you load that application, which is on load of that application. If you remember that business rule, immediately we load that application, it showed us that error. That's on load. Or is the function going to happen on based on change? Maybe you're already working. When you now made a change, it should happen based on that change. Now, but why we really use JavaScript as a second option is it gives us the ability to work with more than one table. Business rule is limited to a table. Don't forget. JavaScript, if you use that part of JavaScript, you can work with multiple tables. Let me show you what I'm saying. This is project table. However, I have another table called project update that I've added. So on my code, see, I am querying project update tab. Yeah, I'm project update tab, and project update tab is powered by a subgrid of project update table. And I am also pulling information from project from customer, which is another table of contacts. Are you seeing that? That's table number 2. And the actual function I'm working with here is directly on the project table itself. PTA underscore project. Can you see that? So 3 different tables: the project table, which is like the one capping everybody, the project update table, the customer, which is looking up into a different table. So you see the idea. So because you want to talk to multiple tables, you can leverage on that side of JavaScript because it allows you now to query those form context and bring all of those elements in. Good. But let's check that JavaScript. Let's see how it works. So, like I said, I'm just going to show you how to bring it in. All right. If you want to know how it's being created, how it works, check that video out. All right. So to bring it in, you go to event. Now, watch that I am selecting the know that your function should work on load. Remember my event. Remember my event. The event I wrote here. See, on load, on load, on load. So it means that immediately the application loads, something should happen. So if that is the case, you know that your tree view information is what is selected. Can you see that? Because when you click on information, it will select the entire form. I can now go to event. You can see it has 2 event handlers called on save, on load. Based on your code, just passing the function. So my own is on load. You can simply add an event handler. I will edit this one. I already added it. So you add it. So immediately, don't forget, because you already added the script to that environment, automatically you can see the script. All right. And every other script you have in the environment. If I click on add library right now, watch, I can see it will load all the scripts that are available in that environment. All right, good. Now, with that done, I pass this in. Then you now need to pass in your function. What is the function? Your function on the code. So on my code, see my function, I declared this function called stringify project.script.permit form. And then I want to call the undo on load. So it will be stringify project.script.permit form dot project form dot undo on load. You see that this function we now call the event. So once it calls the event will run any activity under it. You see? So that's exactly what is happening there. So stringify the script dot project form dot undo on load. That's my event. Can you see? Undo on load. And I pass in the execution context so that I can run all. That's all. The system would easily go and read your code. Now, if you want that code to work on a specific field, what I've shown you is the one for the form. On a specific field, maybe like a customer field, this customer field, for example, you see, I will click on that customer field, see, like I just clicked, and then I will go to event, and you can see an handler called on change. It means when you make a change, this should happen. So, and then you will bring in the same, see, you bring it in, and then you call in that handler. The handler here says handle on change customer, which is exactly what I have on my code. Handle on change customer. You see that? And then into the system. So once you bring it in, you save, you publish. If you now go to the UI for the watch this, the condition says, let's open the condition. Let's see what we wrote. Uh, where's the guy? Uh, so we have this condition, and it's supposed to set visible. Let me good. I think I made a change to the code, but let me check. The code should still work. If I remove this Contoso network, it should hide project updates. Yeah, according to my code. Yeah, set project update to be false if project customer does not contain data. If project customer does not contain data, hide this field. So let's see if that works. So if I remove this, what should happen? Boom, it has hidden the field. Can you see that? If I had customer information back, let's pick any customer. See, it returns the field. Can you see that? If I remove this, it hides the field. If I had this back, it returns the field. Two different tables working on another table, but we're able to manipulate that from the code and then bring that code into our form. Yeah, and then that is working directly on the application UI. Can you see how that works? So business rules, client scripting, which is JavaScript, we call it client scripting. They have their different functions. Don't forget, business rule looks into just a table at a time, but client scripting can help you look into multiple tables and write a function at the same time. But what they all do is logic and validation. Validation. All right, cool stuff. Ah, I believe we have all learned something today. If you have learned today, just the section that I've learned I've learned something. All right. I don't know if my guy is still here, Oyinboke. You can help us drop the link to Power Apps community, because one of the things that also is good is to learn and to keep learning is to stay in a community. You need to be in a community of people, all right, who you can easily relate with, talk with, and learn from. That's how we all learn. All right, in this case. So um any question from anybody? If you have any question, drop it in the comment. Drop it. Let me answer them. If you want us to show you anything, I'm just going to just drop it in the comment section below, and we'll be glad to do that. Let me pick your questions, everybody. Questions from anybody. All right, looks like there's no question from anyone. All right. So if there's no question from anyone, I believe we all learned something. All right. For those who are watching this, you are doing a replay, you're watching this as a replay, uh, and you have questions after watching, kindly drop the question in the comment. Definitely, I'll get an alert about your question up on the page and answer the questions for you. All right. If you want to reach me, check the description on the video. Check the description on the video, uh, and just reach me through it. Okay, I see a question here. Okay, Dotun is asking if there's a sample project that one can follow stepwise. A sample project one can follow stepwise. Okay. Okay, I have a project with a scenario, but it's not put together yet. Maybe what I would do is, Dotun, I'll try to see maybe next month, uh, put that project together, uh, explain each step, and then have a video to show for each step, and then probably share with everyone. Okay. I have scenarios and I have them already done. But to serve as a guide, I understand what you're saying. To serve as a guide, so you can follow step one, step two, step three, and then get it done. Stuff like that. Uh, I'll put a guide together that can really be of help, okay? And then we'll share it via the registered email that everybody have with us. Thank you for that question. Please, like I said, if you're watching a replay and you have any question, also drop it in the comment section. Check the description for the links to other videos, to resources that can also help you learn more this Microsoft Dataverse. Uh, I think the next time we'll be looking at some other side of Dataverse. Okay. Um, the information about that will be passed across to everybody about what we'll be looking at next time. Thank you everybody for joining. I believe it's been a very good time. You can always come back to the channel to rewatch the session or watch the first session and every other video we have on the channel. Uh, Thank you for joining, and please do have a wonderful, wonderful time, everyone. All right.